Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Good Vibes FC. I'm Sam Kerr, coming to you live from the Women's Game World Headquarters in Vermont.
And I'm Lynn Williams, coming to you from New Jersey.
The Women's Game Alternative Headquarters.
The adjacent headquarters.
The other headquarters.
The second headquarters.
The 2HQ. 2HQ.
Ooh.
HQ2.
Can you have two headquarters? Is that a
Sure.
thing? Okay.
Headquarters
I
and hindquarters.
Yuck, let's move on.
Lynn, I'm romanticizing my work life, and I have a pumpkin candle in my office.
Yeah, I watched you light that. First of all, what was happening? And second, we need to talk about how you use a lighter because you were flickering it with your index finger.
Because when you have to use a short lighter to reach into a candle, you have to get it in there. I didn't have any of the long grill lighters handy.
No, turn your candle sideways.
Well, there was I had already had it lit and it went out, so it was wet wax.
Wet wax.
So I had to do it a certain way.
Okay, well, I'm happy it's relit.
As am I, and I'm getting pumpkin scents, and I have a nice soft candlelit glow upon my face.
How close is that to your face right now?
Well, I could make it even closer, and then I literally do have a glow. Look.
Tell us a scary story now that you have got that so close to your underface.
I can't. You tell us a good, happy story because you just told me good news.
Marley is coming back to me.
Thank God.
I know. He's been away for far too long. And now he's coming home. I need to get the apartment in order. I've been saying that for about a month now, and I just haven't. I just keep staring at the pile of clothes, and I keep staring at the pile of makeup and all the bags that are out there. And now I'm like, Lynn, let's get our lives together.
Well, you're about to have another big old body in that space, so you got to clear some space out. Tell us where Marley went and why.
He just went back to Australia after the Olympics. It was always his plan to go home for a little bit to see his dad, get his wedding suit all done, get our house in order, because in the off season we're having another wedding in Australia, so we got to make sure that he's just taking care of logistics. So he went back, but it's been far too long, and like my life is in shambles. And you would think that we have never been apart, even though we've spent years apart before, and now I don't know how to be apart.
Oh, it just got like hard and sad again.
Well, yeah, I just been used to him here for a plethora of reasons.
Well, I'm so glad that it's almost over, the time apart.
I know. So I'm like excited, anxious.
I'm getting so excited for the wedding. I texted the group chat of ladies last night and I said, I'm getting this fear that I'm going to start trying to do the splits at the wedding. And everybody was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I don't know, you guys. It's just a premonition that I have.
Well, yeah, you've never done the splits at a wedding before and you can't do the splits. So I don't know why. That's a fear. But like that would be a present to me. I'd like that.
I'm getting nervous. I'm very excited for the wedding, though. I'm going to do some stretching while I count down the weeks. Meanwhile, today on the podcast, we are going to tell all the top stories of the NWSL weekend, including Kansas City's win over the Spirit, Trinity's injury, the return of Caroline, and Lynn Williams' attempt to become the all-time leading scorer and assist leader in the league. It's inevitable, everybody. Just hang on one more week, maybe. Then Lynn picks a WSL club with a little help from artificial intelligence. Wow. Plus, the U20 World Cup. We're going to do a quick review of that. And we answer a very hard question, our favorite sports movie. Lynn, are you ready to, rumble?
We said the same word.
Can you give us a, let's get ready to rumble?
Let's get ready to rumble. WWE, sign me up. UFC, any of them?
Anybody available, except that you're not available because you're very busy. Let's get into the NWSL, everybody. Orlando, you guys, they just keep winning. They won 1-0 with a late goal coming from who else but Barbara Banda, defeating Bay FC at home.
They're still good.
They're still good. Kansas City clinched playoffs. They beat the Spirit 3-0, starting with a 4th-minute goal from Nichelle Prince. And then 2 more goals would follow, including a really special dribble and left-footed finish from Lola Bonta, and then Temwa Chawinga's NWSL leading 16th goal of the season. Lynn, I was watching your game, and you got interviewed at halftime, and you were saying something in your halftime interview about your team having depth and like multiple ways to score.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to kind of ask you that same question about Kansas City. Like, obviously, Kansas City has Temwa Chawinga. She has 16 goals this season, but she's not the only player for Kansas City that can score. And it seems to me like Kansas City is demonstrating that same, I guess I'd call it well-roundedness, that if you shut her down, there are other players who can step up and kind of take on that burden and responsibility of scoring. I wanted to ask you if you could elaborate on what you said in your halftime interview about Gotham, but in terms of Kansas City, do you think the same thing is true of them?
Yeah, I think that when I think of the best teams in the world, like that is their X factor, is having multiple options, not having the burden be on one person. So I think of that with Kansas City. I think of that with Gotham. I think of that with Washington and North Carolina when we played in North Carolina. Honestly, the U.S. team at the Olympics, like you didn't see one person doing everything. There was like this shared responsibility and this shared workload. And I think that as a team facing that, it's scary. So for example, like with Kansas City, you take away Chawinga, but then Lola Bonta steps up and Nichelle Prince steps up and like all these players step up. So you're like, crap, we've taken away this one option. And then you're like, well, then how do I take away that option and this option at the same time? And that's usually impossible.
Yeah. I think that when I listened to you talk about that at halftime, I think you were spot on that that's also true of Gotham. And I want to talk more about your game in just a minute. Staying with this Kansas City Washington game, there was a unfortunate story coming out of this game. Trinity Rodman came off in the 74th minute after shielding the ball from Temwa Chawinga on the sideline. She kind of went down to her knees and was eventually wheelchaired off the field. Everybody was happy to see her return to the sidelines before the end of the game. Coach Jonathan Heraldez said that she suffered a back injury. And then on Saturday, her agent came out and said that she had an intense back spasm. She was in a lot of pain, but hopefully avoided a serious injury. Trin, obviously this season has been lights out for club and country. In the NWSL, she has 8 goals and 6 assists. She's a huge piece of Washington's attack and game plan. Washington have already lost Croy Bethune for the season, so hopefully this injury of Trinity's is not long-term. She's just been one of the best players in the world, in the country, in the league this year. In the aftermath of like winning a major tournament, Lynn, all of you guys, the national team, the gold medalists from the Olympics, who have now come back to the league, you've played so many minutes. And then I think on top of that, there's also this like added burden on you guys, not only of being like top players, but of being like really attractive faces and personalities for your club team. So commercially, appearance wise, like players like all of you are also tasked with adding popularity to the league and helping sell tickets. And everybody is relying on you all. And I wanted to just quickly touch on like the kind of toll that the pressure of the World Tournament coupled with coming back and being asked to do so much. How much stress is that on your bodies?
Yeah, I think it is a lot of stress. I think that if you play a lot of minutes at a World Tournament or you play 0 minutes at a World Tournament, first and foremost, we've talked about this before, but like you're putting your all into the moment. So just from like a mental health standpoint, like it's a lot. So you're like coming down from that when you're coming back into your club environment. But then you, like you said, you now have this responsibility of everybody's like, we kind of want a piece of you. It's going to help our club market grow. You've done this really exciting thing, and not to like take that for granted or dull the moment, but it is like another added stress on your body. So when I think of Trin and like Washington, even Croy, I know she didn't get injured on the playing field, but she got injured at an appearance. She also, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the injury, but who's to say it wasn't also like a fatigue moment? And so I also think that this year is interesting going into, well, we have so many more games and we're traveling so much more. And it's just a lot. So I was talking to another athlete, and in their sport, they couldn't believe that we have such little time off, especially if you're doing club and country. And I was like, well, we get like 6 weeks, but you can't actually have 6 weeks because you got to start training again because you just got to, you can't like get behind for preseason, especially here. Like we added the Gold Cup this year where normally in preseason, you're like, okay, I can come in and like maybe work on my fitness, but nope, you're going into a tournament right off the bat in January.
And playing 6 90-minute games, the Gold Cup was.
Exactly. So So I think that it's just like it's the adding up of all of the moments. So I don't know. I like feel so bad for her. I hope, hopefully it's just like her agent said it's just a back spasm and she's going to be fine. But I think when people need a day off, like you got to give them a day off.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious now listening to you talk about this, like this is kind of a hard question, but like how much rest do you think you would need to like mentally and physically get yourself back to like 100% right now at this point in the year and at this point in the season?
2 weeks, probably, I would say. Because I think there is something to like, let me get scientific, but you know, when your like cortisol levels are like so high and then you come down and then you get sick and then you're usually
the second you go on vacation, you get sick and you're like, what the heck?
What the heck? And then you need to get over that sickness and then you start feeling better afterwards. And but then you almost need like a break from the sickness. Then you need the
vacation.
Right? So it's just like you need some time to just get away and just relax. And and I know that like people did take breaks after the Olympics, and I'm not saying that didn't help. But then it's not like you took a break and then you can like ease back into it. Like, no, you take a break and you're immediately thrown back into the gauntlet.
I mean, I know that it's really physically demanding, and I think that there have only been increases in like I guess I'd call them commercial opportunities since the times that I experienced this coming back from world tournaments. And so I think prioritizing rest especially for all of you, but for all of the players whenever it's available is really, really important. I want to get back to the games this weekend. Houston finally snapped their winless streak. They beat Seattle 1-0. Yuki Nagasato scored a sick banger volley. Lynn, did you see that?
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, don't even put any other goal up for goal of the week. You might as well just give it to her. Give her a plaque, goal of the year.
I know. And I feel like also like a moment like that for Houston, scoring a sick goal, winning their game, like obviously we talked about this last week. Houston has been going through a lot. So I hope that this kind of is the start of some positive results for them. Louisville beat the Courage 2-1 with a late Bethany Boats-Balser PK. We did see the return of Caroline for the Courage, which was super exciting. Caroline, last year's NWSL MVP, tore ACL last October. But then she competed with Brazil at the Olympics this summer, but she hadn't played for the Courage yet. So seeing her come back, I saw her post of her jersey hanging up in the locker room, so I was really happy for her about that. But Lynn, speaking of the Courage, within this past week, a Sportico article came out about the potential sale of the team to former Milwaukee Bucks owner Mark Lasry, who reportedly is offering $108 million for like a majority controlling ownership, 60% of the team. We're going to dive more into this as the story develops.
Is he moving them or are they staying?
I don't think like anybody knows. I think that like a couple people have asked me that question and I'm like, I don't know. Like, is that a rumor? I'm not really sure. Obviously, some questions are now being raised about North Carolina and what might happen. There is a new USL team in Charlotte. And the Courage have actually, in this Sportico article, it said they have one of the lowest revenues in the NWSL. I don't know if that's location-based. Like, I don't know. So we're going to stay on the story in the coming weeks and update everybody as we get more information. Chicago beat Landon Donovan's Wave 1-0. Alyssa Nair had 2 good saves. And Mal Swanson did start. So that's good news for Chicago and the world that the shoulder injury we mentioned last week wasn't like serious. It didn't keep Mal off the field. And so she's back on the pitch making plays. Chicago now have 2 wins in a row. They're hoping to create some momentum heading into the final few match weeks.
Yeah, I think when I watched this game, it just kind of made me think about like what we've already been talking about of sharing the workload. And that's what I thought when I looked at Chicago. Like, I think their front line is very exciting. I think that watching those relationships build and the connections build between their front line and their midfield. Like, I think this whole last year has kind of been a revamp for them. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited to see where they can go, but knowing that like they have other players to step up and score goals, I think that takes some pressure off of Mal as well. And I think when you have that, then you're going to be successful. And obviously when you have Alyssa Nair in the back of your net, like, she'd be doing wild stuff out there.
She'd be out there making saves, that's for sure.
She'd be out there. That's the truth.
She'd be out there. Well, Lynn, last up, Gotham beat the Royals 1-0. There was an early Lynn Williams assist to Yasmin Ryan. Lynn, this is your 30th career assist, so you're in 3rd place overall. Sophia Huerta and Jess McDonald both have 31, but you're very close. Jess McDonald not playing in the league right now. Sophia Huerta also out on loan, so you've got a great opportunity. How does it feel?
You have a path.
You have a path.
Wow. I didn't know that until this weekend. Go
Lynn.
all the people who put the ball in after I passed it to them. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's exciting.
Just got to keep it running out there,
I'll try
sis.
my best.
You guys also clinched playoffs. How did that feel?
So nice. I think that when me and Crystal were bragging, saying that we've never not made it to the playoffs, we obviously, you and me, didn't make it in 2015, but I don't count that year because I tried to rip that year out of my memory.
I don't recall.
Exactly. So every year since I've been in the league. And I think that when you clinch a playoff spot this early, it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders, like a deep breath. And knowing that last year we had to play our last game and then watch on an iPad. We finished watching Orlando's game to see if they scored a goal or not. Yeah. And they ended up not scoring. So that was stressful. But it's exciting. Like, you never get used to making playoffs, I don't think. No, you don't. I don't think you do. You don't. Because, like, even though if you've made it in the past, it's not like an indication that you're going to get there in the future. And so you shouldn't take a playoff run or a playoff position for granted because it's all the hard work all year long. So it's exciting.
So you guys, your next goal, I guess, would be, I mean, again, I don't know how much you all are thinking about this, but to host a playoff game if you get in the top 4.
Yeah, obviously that's the next goal, is making sure we can get a home playoff game. You definitely have an advantage there. And also, it would be nice if we can get all of our home game or all of our playoff games at home.
That would be nice.
So that's the next goal in mind. But like we said last week, you can't
count your chickens before they hatch, Lynn.
You can't think about your drive before your putt. Is that what you said?
That's literally exactly right. I couldn't think of any other golf analogies, but let's see if I could do it again here today.
You can't think about your putt before your drive, though, I think is it, because you have to drive the ball first.
I was talking about you're taking a putt on hole 7, and then you're thinking ahead about your next drive. But it's like, no, you have to get the putt in first, sis.
Yeah, but you got to drive hole 1 before you can think about putt hole 7.
Literally, you're so right. You got to book your tee time first.
You got to get your clubs.
You got to get your clubs first.
You got to take your lessons.
And you got to find a bag of balls.
And you got to have a dream to play the game.
All right. Cheers, go Gothams. Speaking of the bats, we need to talk about Kelley O'Hara. Kelley has been on and off the field this year with Gotham. She's been dealing with a knee injury, but Gotham put Kelley on the season-ending injury list this weekend, which feels sad because it means that Kelley has already played her last game. I know that this injury has been really difficult, and I feel sad. I feel sad for Kelley, but there is an opportunity to celebrate her at her retirement game with Gotham on October 20th. So I wanted to take a minute here and list some of Kelley's accomplishments. Kelley is a 2-time World Cup winner, 2015 and 2019. She's an Olympic gold and an Olympic bronze medalist, 2-time NWSL champion, 2019 FIFA Pro Women's World 11. And here's a fun one. Kelley's also the youngest person ever to be inducted into the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Little Georgia peach Kelley O'Hara for you.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I think as Kelley's teammate, what I would say about Kelley first is she's so intense. Like, I think that every training that I did with her, the level was raised because of her standard and like her expectation for it. I do remember there was this one like reserves training like years ago with the national team. I want to say we were like in Kansas City and there was a group of us like kind of like on a water break, and Kelley just came over and she kind of had to get on us a little bit because the energy was kind of low. Mm-hmm. And I just remember wanting to be like, oh my God, like you're scaring me, but realizing like this is the difference between like being on the national team and not being on the national team, is being able to like care this much and be this intense and this demanding at a reserves training, meaning like it was a group of us who didn't play in the game. So like there's this choice you have, like you go out there and you go through the motions, or you're like, no, this is my chance to like start the next game. This is my chance to get better. This is my chance to prove that I belong here. Mm-hmm. And I just remember Kelley was like probably pissed she hadn't played in the game. And she just like translated that into being like, and she was doing this, we have to be better. We have to care more about this. Like we have to work harder. The energy has to be raised. The intensity has to be raised. And like, she set the tone, I think, for so much of the national team's standards and intensity. And I think it says so much about her that everybody responded to her and like respected her enough to rise to where she wanted us to be.
Yeah. I have something written down, but I'm going to pivot now that you've said that and kind of talk to her off the field.
Oh.
I think that Kelley off the field is just as intense.
I know.
And I mean that in the best way, but she does so many things that are just so intense and funny to me. So, for example, she invited me and Rose to go out in the city for lunch. And she was like, do you guys want to go to this place for brunch? And I was like, yeah, like I'll come. I've already eaten, but sure, for friendship, I'll come. And so her and Rose eat. And then I was like, well, do you guys want to walk around? It's a beautiful day, blah, blah. So we start walking around. We're like, we'll go into some shops. Kelley, at some point during this day, was like, I need to go right now. And one thing about Kelley is if she needs to go, she is leaving. Like you're like, we all came together. Like, why wouldn't we leave together? And she's like, I'm leaving. Like, either you guys can come with me right now, or you can like figure out your own way. And we're like, okay. So we quickly, because Rose wanted to get a journal. So we're like quickly leaving the bookstore. And she's like, well, we need to get an e-bike. So we get this e-bike. Kelley's leading the way, and she is zooming so far in front of us.
That's my worst nightmare.
So far in front of us. Me and Rose are just riding behind her going, Kelley, slow down.
We don't know where we're going.
I have no idea where we're going. You know the time of the ferry. You know time of the subway. We're like, why are you driving so fast on this e-bike? Anyways, she like is always down for a good time, but then she'll be like, I'm done.
That's intense. It's just an intensity that we almost can't relate to.
I know. And I think that also like translates though. One, I think that she is somebody who's so intense, but can also put their arm around you and tell you like, I think you're doing amazing and I'm so proud of you and all of the things. And that's why I think people respect her as well, is that she knows when to like say, okay, I love you, but also knows at the time to like kick you in the butt. Yeah. But when I think about that as like her off the field of intense, I know when it's time to like be done. Mm-hmm. That's how I think of her career and how it's like come to an end as well, is she is so intense. She like sucked everything she could get out of soccer. And I know that this injury, she's been trying to get back. But I think at some moment she was like, you know what? I have all these other things in life that I want to do, and I am bigger than soccer. And my knee's telling me I'm done. And so I'm done. And I'm not saying that she's probably not going to go through all the ups and downs and the emotions. But when I talked to her, she's like, no, I'm done. My body's telling me I'm done. And that's comforting.
She does have like a wisdom about it that I think I have leaned on a lot. Like Kelley and I both had knee injuries that have plagued us. And I think she has of course it's so hard. And like when you're in it, it feels like so unfair. But I think that she has had like a wisdom and an understanding of it that I have even like drawn from, even though I'm like technically should be further along in this journey, but I am absolutely not. Like Kelley is like a really good friend. Like Kelley is somebody who isn't afraid to just like rogue FaceTime you and be like, hey, I just like wanted to say hi, like no big deal. And I like love that about her, that it's like not a big thing to like call or like check in. It's just like she just wants to check on you. And
I know, I don't think I've ever had a normal call from Kelley. It's always a FaceTime. I'm like,
yeah,
hi.
I know.
I'm like, hi, don't look at me right now.
I just freaking love that girl. She is literally the best. So I want to take a minute. This is going to be our Olipop gut check of the week, Lynn. I want to do, this is becoming a theme here, most iconic Kelley O'Hara moment for Olipop gut check of the week. So we have some options that we have brainstormed out. 2015 World Cup semifinal against Germany. The karate kick goal to seal the game and send the U.S. women's national team to the World Cup final. Lynn, the whiff.
The whiff. That, I remember being on the sideline watching it, and I was like, you hate to see it. You
hate to see it. Kelley was dribbling down the sideline, picks her head up to cross it, takes a nice swing and kicks the ball out of bounds with her other foot, whiffs completely, and just laughed because she was just like, okay, I whiff.
It was just like, I don't know who was in the box, but it was probably Alex, but she was so open.
Just kicked it out of bounds.
Just kicked it out of bounds.
So that's an iconic one. You know what I threw in here? Her chocolate milk ad. Do you remember her chocolate milk ad? Her chocolate milk ad was so sick.
Going off another ads, do you remember her Beast body wash ad when she was like,
oh my
in
God, in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Kelley is so cool. Okay, another option. Saving Charlie, Alex Morgan's daughter, Charlie, from the backpedaling photographer, and Kelley swooped her out of the way.
Swoop.
And then the last one, with the beer sign, holding up the beer sign at the parade after the 2019 World Cup. Beer? Question mark?
I just like don't know if one is better than the other. Like we should say the Karate Kid goal because obviously that.
Yeah, it was like, it was iconic on the field moment. But I do think it's hilarious that all these other moments are off the field and they're all like either sick or so funny.
I know. Well, to go to another on the field moment, she did score the winning header for Spirit
in the 2021 NWSL Championship. You're right.
Yeah. So we'll put that as so on the field too.
Okay. I mean, what is the most Kelley to me? Probably the whiff, the reaction to the whiff. It's just like, you're one of the best players in the whole entire world, but everybody makes mistakes. And when you do, you just kind of got to go, well.
The whiff brings me so much joy.
I know.
Rewatching it. Because I also think that is such a Kelley being able to be so intense, but also being able to laugh at herself and find the joy in the game. And I think a lot of players would have done that and been so embarrassed and been like, oh my gosh, like the next one, blah, blah. And she was just kind of like, obviously I didn't mean to do that. Like, I don't know what you want. Like, it happens.
It happens.
Also, I feel like we need to touch on the fact that her and Alex subbed into their first ever U.S. game together, and then they played their last game on the same day. Like, that's kind of freaky.
That is. That's like so.
Like the Sims
poignant. World
is like Simmon. You know?
Yes, it is. The whiff, saving Charlie, asking for they're all so good. They're just all so good.
It's all tied for one.
But the whiff is really one.
One asterisk. I can't say that word. Asterisk.
All right, we need to move on. Olipop, we love you so much. Kelley, we love you so much. Let us know in the comments your favorite, most iconic Kelley O'Hara moment, and make sure to tag her and tell her how much you loved the whiff. All right, the Women's Super League in England kicked off this weekend. We have a couple of results we're going to review with everybody. The biggest game of the weekend, I would say, Arsenal-Man City tied 2-2. Freedom Annam opened the scoring for Arsenal. It was at the Emirates Stadium. There was like 41,000 fans there. And then Viv Miedema, who has played for Arsenal for 7 seasons and is now playing for Man City, scored a goal against her former club, making it 1-1. City then took the lead with a Jess Park banger, kind of similar to Yuki Nagasato's goal for Houston, honestly. It was like a rebound kind of that came out. I think she took a touch, went in upper 90, kind of a volley, but it was bouncing. It was pretty sick. And then Beth Mead equalizes for Arsenal. It was a really exciting game. And funnily enough, Lynn, the men, Manchester City and Arsenal, also played on the same day, copied them, and also ended up with a 2-2 draw.
Told you the Sims world is simming.
This is the Sims episode, apparently. Chelsea women, they won their game 1-0 over Aston Villa, and then Manchester United beat West Ham and Christy Mewis, sadly 3-0. Those are some of the results from the opening weekend. It's going to be a really exciting season. So we have decided that Lynn needs to pick a WSL club to support.
Not that you guys asked me if I already support one, but sure, let's do it now. Like
Lynn, do you already support a team? No. Okay. So we needed help. We didn't know how to present all of these teams to you, Lynn. So we had ChatGPT describe each club. And Lynn, based on what ChatGPT tells us, you have to pick the club that you're going to support.
Okay.
And we're doing this in order of the table. And funnily enough, Brighton won their game by the most goals. So Brighton Women's Football Club is in first place in the Barclays WSL. According to ChatGPT, Brighton Women's Football Club is like a seagull on the beach. Sometimes they soar with grace, and other times they just steal your chips.
Honestly, like, I love taking pictures of the seagulls flying over the water. Like, it's like majestic, kind of. Cinematic.
Kind of.
Is that the word? Looks nice.
Okay.
But when they steal your chips and they're eating your food, like, So,
yeah. No. Okay. Might not be Brighton then. Okay. According to ChatGPT, Tottenham Women's Football Club is like a fancy new espresso machine. Lots of potential, but sometimes you're not sure if it's going to brew a winner or just froth.
Oh. Yeah, I honestly, I resonate with this right now because my espresso machine, for some
It's
reason,
on
like
the fritz.
I can't get the right level of espresso, and that annoys me so much. But when it's going good, it's like the best thing's ever happened. So we'll see. We'll see.
Let's put a little asterisk by Tottenham. It could be Tottenham.
Yeah.
Manchester United is like a Ferrari in a shopping cart race. Sometimes overpowered for the competition, but always stylish.
What?
Where is ChatGPT getting this information?
What? Okay. I don't even know. I have no words for that, but I do like shopping.
Chelsea is like a bulldozer, powerful, unstoppable, and casually flattening the competition. They win trophies so often, their cabinet probably has a please take a number system installed for new silverware.
Oh. Well, that feels like
pretty good. Chelsea is pretty good. They have won the league 5 seasons in a row, so I think Chelsea...
There was like nothing negative in that one at all.
I don't think you can really have much negative to say about Chelsea. They've won a lot of things.
Well, I'm just saying, based on the thing. We're going based off of ChatGPT, not the actual club.
Well, true. Okay. Arsenal is like a fine-tuned orchestra, sophisticated, elegant, and always hitting the right notes until someone accidentally plays a bum chord in a cup final.
So
ChatGPT is being ruthless.
ChatGPT was like, "Oh, Arsenal, you guys choke every cup final." Like, that's what I got from that. You guys are amazing, except when you get to the final. Oh, okay.
I love the fine-tuned orchestra description.
Okay.
Manchester City is like a luxury sports car, smooth, fast, and always in control. But occasionally, Lynn, they forget to top up the fuel and sputter.
Feels like me. That feels very on brand for me in the fuel department.
Need some fuel. Leicester City is like a scrappy underdog at a fancy party, showing up in sneakers while everyone else is in heels, but stealing the show.
That feels like you.
I know. If we're going off of ChatGPT, then like I'm a Leicester City fan. Sorry.
You heard it here first. Sam Lewis, Leicester City fan. Biggest supporter.
Liverpool is like a boat on the Mersey. Sometimes smooth sailing. Sometimes they're just trying to stay afloat in a storm.
Well, my heart goes out to them.
But don't know if you're a fan.
Well, that's just going to be, I feel like it's setting myself up for disappointment and heartbreak.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would I do that to myself?
Listen to this one. Aston Villa is like a puppy at a dog park, full of energy, a little unpredictable, and always ready to chase down anything that moves. They may occasionally trip over their own paws, but when they score, it's like a dog finally catching its tail. Pure joyous chaos, Lynn.
Aw, that's so cute.
I know.
Well, Aston Villa sounds fun and exciting and cute.
Okay, maybe it's Aston Villa. Did you know Aston Villa are playing all of their home games at Villa Park this year?
I did not, but that's incredible.
It is pretty incredible. I actually did an entire WSL preview podcast that just came out last week. So if anybody hasn't listened to that yet, you can still listen to it. And it talks about all of these teams, not ChatGPT.
Plug yourself, girl.
I plug myself. Okay, listen to this one. This is a good one. This is Christy's team. West Ham is like a lively pub quiz team. Full of characters, a bit quirky, sometimes just trying to figure out which way to kick the ball. They might miss a question or two, but when they hit the target, it's as if someone shouted, "Free drinks!" and the whole place erupts.
That sounds chaotic, but also fun. That's like if you're on a bender, that's the team that you need to be supporting. That's what that feels like.
If you're on a bender?
Yeah.
That's Christy's team.
Well, that's fitting.
Go Crachita. Okay, we only have 2 more. Crystal Palace is like a cheeky parrot that can't decide whether to mimic the crowd or squawk its own song. Entertaining, occasionally unpredictable. They might flap around the pitch in a flurry, but when they finally land a goal, it's like they've just discovered a treasure chest full of snacks.
No words, just eyes.
Everton is like a determined squirrel on a quest for acorns, full of energy, darting all over the pitch, and always a little mischievous. They may occasionally get distracted by shiny things, but when they score, it's like finding the biggest nut in the park. Celebration time. All right, I have an issue with ChatGPT here. The formula here seems to be pick an animal or a metaphor and then say when they're bad, they're like this, and when they're good, they're like this.
I say that word mischievous.
What did I say? Mischievous?
Yeah. I can't focus on anything else before we talk about that. But I agree with your analysis. Like it just kind of got repetitive.
You can train ChatGPT to be a little bit more,
Sophisticated. Okay, based on like where I think I'm going to be the most fulfilled and watching, it's going to be Chelsea. Where I think it's going to be the most cute, it's going to be Aston Villa. And where I think feels most like myself is Man City.
Okay, so you liken yourself to a luxury sports car. Smooth, fast, and always in control.
Yeah, but like obviously forgetting to fuel. Always riding on E.
Okay, so if you could only pick one for this whole rest of the WSL season, Lynn, every podcast we do, we're going to say, Lynn, how did your frickin' Seagulls do? But you have to pick a team right now. Who's it going to be? Who's the team that you support?
Well, I also feel very compelled to say City because you played there and so did my friend Rose. So like I'm feeling coerced.
I would like to have some supporting City because I did pick City to win the league.
I saw that. So I also saw that Sam Kerr responded bookmarked when you picked City to win.
I know.
So
Stressful.
Samantha June, do you have anything that you want to say to your future sister-in-law, Samantha June?
You know what? Football over family. You know what I mean? That's
I've
all
always
I
said
have.
that.
That's
I've
all
always
I.
said that.
I've always said that. That's all I have to say about that. I literally root for Sam Kerr every single chance I get. I love her so much. I'm cheering for her. I do love Chelsea as well. I said that they were going to come in second, but she makes a good point. Chelsea has won the league 5 years in a row. Who am I to doubt them? They are a very good team, but I'm not going to really walk it all the way back. Man City, I did play there, so I'm rooting for them. I love them too. I just want everybody to have fun out there and just kick the ball hard and just stay safe,
Yeah, you played for them for years. So the roots run deep.
9 months of my life, Lynn.
Football over family.
That luxury sports car isn't sputtering out anytime soon, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and until Sam becomes legally family.
Just City it is. And for you too, Lynn, apparently Sam Kerr is going to have to bookmark you're a Man City fan now too.
Well, she should take that up with ChatGPT. GPT. With the chatty chats.
With the artificial intelligence.
The AI, if you will.
I will. So the U20 women's national team went to Colombia this month to compete in the U20 Women's World Cup. The U.S. came in third, which I feel like was a really good result for them. North Korea ended up winning the whole tournament. Lynn, did you get to watch any of those games?
I watched a bit of the highlights of all the games of the U.S. games.
Nice.
But you've been to a World Cup, a 20s World Cup.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that's like?
Yeah, I can. I got to go to a bunch of youth tournaments. I went to a U17 World Cup and then 2 U20 World Cups when I was literally much younger and a long time ago. But I always felt like the tournaments are actually real. They like really prepare you for senior tournaments. Like they're FIFA run events. The structure is the same. The kind of like setup always felt the same. I just think that they were such a great way to prepare young players for hopefully playing for the senior team someday, like going through the group stage and you're living in a different country and you're eating different food and you're sometimes around the other teams. You have to like travel for the knockout rounds. And then I just feel like all the like FIFA structures are kind of like mirrored. And so it gave me this sense of familiarity when I finally did go to like the 2019 World Cup. I almost felt like I was like familiar with the structure of the tournament.
Do you think that off the field is as structured or more structured or less structured? Because you're like so young, right?
Yeah, you're so young. So I think it's like kind of both. Like I think there's obviously less commercial stuff. Like you're 17 years old. You're not doing like the same type of media or the same type of like there weren't really as many fans or anything like that. But I think that, yeah, the team and the program kind of have to fill your time a little bit more because you're like literally 15 or 16 years old in a foreign country. So they kind of have to like keep more track of you and make sure you're, I don't know, I guess not that bored.
Do you get drug tested still? I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I think we got drug tested like starting at U17s. I know. So the youth tournaments I think are awesome and like such a great way to prepare young players for their futures and to just like compete and kind of showcase this young talent. I mean, the RUS U20 team had a bunch of NWSL players on it, including the Utah Royals' Allie Sentnor, who is from my hometown, Hanson, Massachusetts. She's like so sweet. I love her. And she had a really great tournament. She scored 3 goals. She won the bronze ball. She's the first U.S. player to win the bronze ball since Julie Ertz won it in 2012, which was the last time I was on that team. That was the last time a U.S. team has won the U20 World Cup, was 2012.
What I think is so interesting about this U20's U.S. team is how many players have been playing in the league. Because this is like the first time that we've had so many players.
Yeah. I think that what's changing is that there are more players playing professionally that are eligible than there are players. Like, there are still a lot of college players on the team. So there were 8 U20 players who are playing the NWSL right now. But 10 years ago, all those players would have been in college. And now some of them are just starting to go pro younger. So yeah, the team had a bunch of NWSL players on it, like Savvy King, Giselle Thompson, Claire Hutton, plus some college players like team leading scorer from Princeton, Pietra Torden. The tournament was so fun to watch, Lynn. And as these tournaments keep coming up, I think it's like really fun for everybody to follow along. Some of these names are the future of our U.S. women's national team. And so I loved watching them. I loved seeing them play. And now I feel a little bit more connected to them as they re-enter the NWSL. Let's look at the weekend ahead. We have a whole slate of matches, but if you could only pick 2 to watch, I would pick Kansas City versus Gotham on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Lynn, tell us about it.
We're going to be going to Kansas City to play them at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Just kidding. I'm excited. Obviously, us in Kansas City are in the playoffs, but we're both trying to host home games for the playoffs. Also, I think a shield is on the line, and both of us need to kind of win the game to be in contention with that, considering that Orlando is going on a historic run.
Right.
So it should be exciting. I'm excited to go play.
Well, I'm excited to watch you. And then I'm also going to be getting up Sunday morning at 7:30 a.m. to watch Man City. They tied over the weekend again against Arsenal. So they're in 6th place after 1 week, which again, that's crazy to be putting any stock in that right now. But Brighton is in 1st place after the first game of the league. So after beating Everton 4-0. So it is the Seagulls versus the Ferraris, Lynn.
And if you had to ask me, I am definitely a Ferrari over a Seagull. Except that feels freeing, being a Seagull.
I hope that we are in the Ferrari together, windows down, moon roof open, singing Uptown Funk as we cruise this down the streets.
That's by the beach, PCH.
I recently played Uptown Funk and somebody was like, that's so millennial. And I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Honestly, I feel like I am a millennial. Like, is that an insult?
I don't know. Sometimes I do think it's an insult. It's like, you're not really like up with the times. Like, you're still playing Uptown Funk. And I was like, dude, Uptown Funk is literally the best song of all time.
Sorry for having a good childhood.
Can you tell me if you like Uptown Funk, though?
I do, yeah. I think that I don't even know if you can consider it an oldie, but like...
Can we play Uptown Funk at your wedding?
Yeah, sure. It's your wedding now. You're doing the splits. You're playing Uptown Funk. What else do you want?
Uptown Funk you up. Uptown Splits.
Gosh, you're gonna like rip something.
Speaking of ripping something, let's go to the inbox. We got an email from Sadina that asks, "Hi, Sam, Lynn, and Becky. What is your favorite sports movie? Mine is A League of Their Own. Love the podcast. Watch it with my 11-year-old daughter, Sadina, my favorite sports movie. There are so many to pick from. Disney Channel.
Oh my gosh. Double teamed. So freaking good. Such a good sports What's the
movie.
one with the race car driver where she does the little
Oh my
thing
God,
with her sister?
motocrossed? No. Oh my God, I forget.
I do like motocross.
But then also non-Disney Channel, Coach Carter, obviously.
Bend it like Beckham.
Oh yeah, Bend It Like Beckham.
Obviously.
That's a good one.
She's the Man.
She's the Man is such a good one too.
Yeah. Blindside.
The Blind Side is good. What about Hoosiers? Rocky 4.
Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Creed.
Why can't I think of the Jackie Robinson movie? 42. Is that 42?
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Okay, well, like the first thing that popped into my head when I read this question was Coach Carter. So I'm going to stick with that. Lynn, what are you going to stick with?
Oh, I love Coach Carter. Oh my gosh, have you seen Hardball?
Yes.
Oh, it's so sad, but I
Sad.
love that movie.
Yeah. Sad.
We just named all of them.
I know, but you have to just pick one and then we're going to move on.
I can't pick one.
Okay, Lynn can't pick one. Sadina, what a great question. We love that so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you. If anybody else wants to ask us a question, send us an email at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com. Okay, we've made it to the end of the episode, Lynn. We've gone through the NWSL. We've gone through ChatGPT. We've gone through the U20 Women's World Cup. Do you want to leave our lovely, lovely listeners with a good vibe?
Ooh. My good vibe is Marley's coming home.
Yay! That is a good vibe.
Do you have one?
My good vibe is just cruising down the street playing Uptown Funk with your friend, having the giggles and singing along. And that's something that I wish that I was doing right now. Okay, that's it for this week's episode of Good Vibes FC. Are you subscribed yet? If not, please subscribe right now, you fluffer nutter. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts. It's on YouTube. We're on social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads at Women's Game MIB. On Thursday, we have an interview with Chelsea's Guro Wrighton. So we talked to her all about her upcoming season with a new manager. Emma Hayes has left Chelsea. They are now being managed by Sonia Bonpastor. I asked Guro all of these questions. She was so sweet, and I can't wait for everybody to hear from her. All right, everybody, that is all from us. We will be seeing you later.
I'm Lynn Williams, the new diehard fan of Man City.
Ferraris for life. And I'm Sam Ewis. This is Good Vibes FC. We love you. Vroom, vroom.
And remember, football over family.